Hey everybody, welcome to the Leek. I'm John as always, and it's time for the weekly news update for June 11th, 2017. There wasn't much in sheer number of different announcements this week, but they were pretty dense, so let's jump in right away. Up first, the Archenemy Nicol Bolus's deck lists and packaging were revealed. The box looks really nice. It holds the 4 decks with their own deck boxes, along with the scheme deck, and includes one of the often sought-after life counters that we first saw in the Commander's arsenal, and have been in all these large-scale supplemental products ever since. So that's kind of a cool include there that I wasn't necessarily expecting. On to the decks, all 4 are headed by a Planeswalker, each of which have new art by Chris Ron. The deck lists themselves, though, they aren't terribly exciting in terms of value. Beyond the Planeswalkers, most of the cards fall well below $5, with a pair of lightning bolts, an uncommon reprinted to oblivion ever since the first Magic set ever printed, being some of the highest value cards. But you should know by now in these weekly updates that I'm not a slave to value, I'm a slave to fun. If these decks play well within each other, within the structure of a 3 versus 1 Archenemy match, then I'm all for it. And especially because it will keep the price down. You won't have stores gouging double, triple, quadruple the cost of this because, oh my god, it has a true name nemesis or something like that in it. Anyways, Archenemy is a format that I've played exceedingly little of, basically just the mode that was in one of the Duels of the Planeswalkers annual releases several years ago. If you haven't played it, basically 3 players play against 1 player, the Archenemy. The Archenemy has their deck, but they also have access to extremely powerful scheme cards that function almost like an enchantment for the turn that helps the Archenemy out quite a bit and really can massively change how a turn works. Anyways, if you are interested in Archenemy Nicol Bolus, it comes out this Friday, June 16th, and it should MSRP for $59.99, and as I said, since there aren't massive amounts of value in this, I doubt you'll see any stores really going too far above that. Moving on, a pretty big and somewhat out of nowhere announcement briefly hit this week. There's a Magic the Gathering MMORPG game in the works. MMO, if you're not familiar, stands for Massively Multiplayer Online RPG, role-playing game. Think World of Warcraft. That's the most popular, most well-known, and most successful one. A giant, persistent world populated by players progressing their characters through a story-leveling experience. In this case, possibly including planeswalkers, maybe not planeswalkers, but just magicians, wizards, etc. on various planes. Who knows how it's going to work exactly? The game is being made by Cryptic Studios and published by Perfect World. Cryptic Studios has some very credible MMO releases under their belt, with Dungeons & Dragons Online Neverwinter being their most recent. They also did Star Trek Online, they did Champions Online, and they did City of Heroes. All of these games have been fairly well received and been successful, relatively speaking, in the MMO world. Now that is a very tricky sentence that I just said. The MMO world is, and always has been for the past dozen or more years, been ruled by World of Warcraft. Absolutely no MMO has ever come close to that level of success. Many of them come in with grand plans of toppling World of Warcraft. They have a subscription. Nobody signs up. They go to free to play and then just die off. The smart ones start free to play and hopefully get some bit of income out of it, but they never really take off. Because of that, people are already writing this game off. They're already saying, nope, this game's going to be bad. It's not going to be as good as World of Warcraft, and therefore it's terrible and nobody should play it. Why is it being made? But here's the thing, it doesn't have to beat World of Warcraft. It just has to exist. Microsoft doesn't give up on Bing because it didn't beat Google. They revel in having that 10% market share. In the 90s, Apple had a 10% market share of all computers. They didn't give up because they weren't beating IBM. They kept going. And now they're a massive dominant force. Magic the Gathering MMORPG doesn't have to beat World of Warcraft. It just has to be a good game that we enjoy. Something that many internet fandoms really tend to miss is that you're allowed to like multiple things. Dare I say, I've watched and enjoyed both Star Trek and Star Wars. Oh no. More than that, you're allowed to like something that's not the number 1 most popular thing. You're allowed to like number 2. You're allowed to like number 7. Shocking, I know. I've also seen an awful lot of, why bother with this? Fix MTGO, fix standard, insert whiny complaint here about this announcement. Just stop doing that. You're showing a drastic lack of understanding how basically everything works. This is a licensed product. It's not designed by Wizards. It's not developed by Wizards. It's not released by Wizards. All they did is say, hey, Cryptic, you can use our stuff if you give us some money. They'll probably have some creative input. They'll have some meetings and say, oh, this character shouldn't do this or this character shouldn't do that. But this is Cryptic's product. This isn't Wizards' product. Whether or not this game exists wouldn't change anything about how Magic, the card game, is being developed and produced. Anyways, as of today, we know basically nothing about this. We know that Cryptic's developing it. We know that Perfect Worlds is publishing it. We know it's an action MMORPG, and that's about it. So I don't think you should be writing this off. Maybe try being a little bit open, a little bit patient, dare I say, a little bit optimistic about something for once. Please. Anyways, the final bit of news this week might actually shed some more information on that MMO, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. We got an announcement about announcements. Now, it's been a long time since our last announcement day, which is a day where Wizards said, hey, here's like a dozen different announcements about upcoming products and changes to organized play, etc. So there was supposed to be one in the spring, but it got pushed back to June because they wanted to announce a lot of 25th anniversary plans that they couldn't talk about just yet. Well, it's June. And we're getting our announcement next week. But not announcement day, we're getting announcement days. In fact, every single weekday next week is going to have some pretty massive announcements. Now, Mark Rosewater made the cardinal sin of being excited about something and saying that this week of announcements was going to be unprecedented. And somehow that solidified in everybody's mind that Magic was going to be basically dying and being reimagined as a living card game instead of a collectible one. Much like Void Winnower, I can't even. Anyways, what's actually going to happen is this. On Monday, Mark Rosewater will have an article that talks about, quote, a slate of changes we'll be making to our sets going forward, end quote. My bet, I'm going to say that core sets are coming back. Their absence has definitely been noted, and while I'm not super excited to draft them, they are a great place for reprints, fixes for standard, etc. I don't think we're going to get announcements that Magic is doing away with boosters. I don't think that we're going to get an announcement that Magic is going all digital. It's not going to be that. Take the tinfoil hats off, think a little bit more conservatively, think a little bit more realistically, but I'm excited to see what Mark Rosewater has to say. Tuesday, there will be two announcements, one of which is about Magic digital offerings that are coming up. I would fully imagine that this is just going to be the official announcement of the Magic MMO from Wizards' side. We haven't actually had an announcement from them about the MMO. The announcements have been from Cryptic Studios. We've seen some news articles in some video game industry magazines, etc. We haven't seen the official Wizards announcement of this. So I would expect that's going to be the dominant part of the article, probably some information about how the game will actually look, perhaps, what we'll be playing as. Will we be Planeswalkers? Will we be less than Planeswalkers, etc.? Beyond that, we'll probably see some information about upcoming Puzzle Quest updates, Duels of the Planeswalker updates, and possibly some MTGO news, but I'm not even slightly expecting the fabled and then debunked and yet somehow still fabled MTGO replacement software. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think we will see some MTGO news. Also on Tuesday, we're going to get the banned and restricted announcement. It was supposed to be Wednesday, but Wednesday's saved for something else, so it got bumped up a little bit to Tuesday. Will Marvel get banned? What about Death Shadows? Who knows? We'll find out on Tuesday. I'm not going to make any real predictions about that because I could see basically anything happening. I would probably put a slight edge to nothing happening. Very slight edge, like 50.5% chance of nothing happening, and then like 49.5% chance of Marvel getting banned in standard. So we'll see what happens there. Wednesday is going to be the traditional announcement day style of announcements. It's going to be new sets, new worlds, new products, all the stuff that we would expect for the rest of the year, start of next, which includes the beginning of the 25th anniversary celebration. That starts, I think, in October or November, and then, of course, they're going to spend the entire year celebrating the 25th year of Magic. I would expect that we'll get Ixalan information, both about the first set as well as the second set, Iconic Masters information, and likely some surprise announcements. So I'm very excited for Wednesday. Thursday is what's being called a relatively small announcement regarding organized play, apparently something really cool for 2018 that players have been requesting for a long time. Possibly, with Channel Fireball taking over all the Grand Prix, we could see the ability to carry over your prize wall tickets from GP to GP. You could bank them up, save them up from this GP to that GP to that GP to get yourself, the giant oversized card, or to get an uncut sheet of cards or something like that. Maybe we'll be getting coverage for every Grand Prix instead of just some of them. Who knows? We'll have to see what this small announcement is on Thursday. Finally, on Friday, we'll get a look at some Hour of Devastation preview cards on the Magic Twitch channel. Now, hopefully this isn't just the 3 that were accidentally spoiled by Wizards. There's the possibility that that's what was supposed to be revealed on Friday, and then that website was supposed to be going live. I would certainly expect them to be featured, but I hope that Wizards has kind of shifted gears a little bit and at least added one more card to their previews if their plan was just those 3 cards. But you can check that out at twitch.tv/magic Friday night. Anyways, that's one hell of an announcement about announcements. To save next week's weekly news update from being several hours long, I am going to be attempting to do a news update every night, catching up on what was announced and my hot takes, as the kids are saying these days, about what we learned. The first one tomorrow night may be a little bit rushed and a little bit low quality because I'm currently recording this one from a hotel room in Montreal, and that one will also be recorded like that. But I'll be back home Tuesday and back to regular microphone quality and etc. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the week. Let me know what you think about Archenemy Nicol Bolus. Are you excited for it? Do you like that format? Let me know what you think about the MMO. Let me know what you think about all the announcements, your predictions, your plans, your expectations. Let me know everything in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at the Mana Leek. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at facebook.com/themanaleek, twitch.tv/themanaleek, and patreon.com/themanaleek. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button. Click subscribe if you're new and you haven't already and you want to see more. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow for another announcement day.